Big Bubble Radio.
Hello and welcome to the local lockdown with me, Neil Stockley. On this week's show, we're going in a different direction again. We're going to focus on some punk and some sort of heavy hard rock, I guess you'd class it as. So yeah, if that's what you're into, you're going to enjoy the next hour.
The local lockdown with Neil Stockley.
Okay, so the bands on this week's show are Paradox, Perjury, and Anabolic Steroids. Now, if that's not punk, I don't know what is.
Don't forget, you can email us, studio@bigbubble.uk.
So we're going to start off today's show with a bit of Perjury. This is the first track from them. This is Be Lucky.
Today's a good day and I'm on a high. I'm light on my feet looking up at the sky. Today's a good day and I'm on a high. Go get a ticket for the lotto, she said. It's likely for a bird to crap on your head. Go get a ticket for the lotto, she said. I'm walking under every land, I'm seeing magpies on their own. 13 is my lucky number. I'm turning on shoes upside down. I'm spilling my salt on the mat. A miracle broke in my flat. I was followed by a black cat. Be lucky! The chances of finding a lot. A tailor in my jeans and I must have forgot. What are the chances of finding a lot? A spring in my step and I wished it quite a bit. My night's nice and clear and it's free from any shit. A spring in my step and I wished it quite a bit. I'm walking under every land, I see magpies on their own. 13 is my lucky number. I'm turning on shoes upside down. I'm spilling my salt on the mat. A miracle broke in my flat. I was followed by a black cat. Be lucky! Every lad are seeing magpies on their own. 13 is my lucky number. I'm turning on shoes upside down. I'm spilling my salt on the mat. A miracle broke in my flat. I was followed by a black cat. Be lucky!
That track was Be Lucky from the album Lockdown by Perjury. Lockdown has literally just been released. It's their first album. It's available on Bandcamp. You can download it digitally for $7.99, or you can get a hard copy on CD. And in a couple of weeks, you'll also be able to get it on vinyl. The album was recorded by Dan Lucas at Anchor Baby. So you know the quality is going to be there. It's going to sound great. And as you can hear from that single, it sounds brilliant. You can definitely hear a bit of Sex Pistols in there, a little bit of Modes Ahead. There's a lot of different influences. But yeah, it's cool. It's a great punk sound. It's exactly what we need right now. That's enough for me. I'm going to go straight to their second track.
It's commodities, artificial playtime and segregated families. Version 1.49. Wrinkle, 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 another is before the fall. Another is before the fall. Go slow, slow, they say. Gotta get out of here, the need for a fix and a high. And the toxic waste is unclear. Go slow, they say. Gotta get out of here, the need for a fix and a high. And the toxic waste is unclear. Go slow, go slow. Unexploded inside, no safety valve and no release. Undiscovered avenues and no one else is supposed to please. Choices seem so limited. Meltdown, meltdown, meltdown. Through my eyes the future's dead. Through my eyes the future's dead. Go slow, slow, they say. Gotta get out of here, the need for a fix and a high. And the toxic waste is unclear. Go slow, they say. Gotta get out of here, the need for a fix and a high. And the toxic waste is unclear. Go slow, go slow. Latest commodities, artificial playtime and segregated families. Version 1.49. Wrinkle, 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 another is before the fall. Another is before the fall. Go slow, slow, they say. Gotta get out of here, the need for a fix and a high. And the toxic waste is unclear. Go slow, they say. Gotta get out of here, the need for a fix and a high. And the toxic waste is unclear. Go slow, go slow.
That was Go Slow by Perjury. Again, another brilliant track by the band. It's a thing about punk. I think people have it in their minds that punk is easy to play. And it's really not. I think the thing to remember with any genre of music is any music is easy to play badly. However, to play well takes real time and real dedication. And yeah, these guys sound great.
Bubbling over with!
Big Bubble Radio.
Okay, so a big thank you to Perjury there for letting us play their music. There'll be more from them later on. Very exciting band. Do please check them out online. Next up is a band called Paradox. I'm going to come straight in with the first track now. That was I Don't Care by Paradox. Now a little bit about the band. The band are from Dover. Their influences include The Who, Nirvana, the Sex Pistols, The Jam, Public Image, Green Day. So unlike our first band, they're a punk rock band. There's a bit more towards the rock element to them. But it's great. It sounds really, really good. The band are signed to Rock Solid Talent, which are an entertainment company. And yeah, they play all over the place. They appear to have a really good following online. They were signed to a Swiss record company in 2005 and released an album called Silently Screaming. They reformed in 2013 after a 6-year break. They appear to be doing really, really well. They've got a good website. They've got some great reviews from BBC Introducing. They've got everything on Facebook, Reverb Nation, SoundCloud. As ever, I'll include that all in the blog, which you can get on Big Bubble UK. Right, let's crack on. Next track from Paradox.
The pressure is now on. I know you're still screaming. I know you're feeling lazy still. I know they're all watching. I know the pressure is now on. I know you're still screaming. You're still screaming.
That was called Working Class by Paradox. Now, for me, that track feels like quite a good entry into the sort of punk rock realm for anyone that's not particularly a punk person. I mean, speaking personally, I've never particularly listened to punk rock. I've never particularly listened to the Sex Pistols. I listened to the Ramones when I was a little bit younger, mostly because the Red Hot Chili Peppers mentioned them as influences. But it never really grabbed me, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with saying that a particular type of music isn't really your bag. It can't be for everyone. That track, though, it's quite a gentle introduction into the idea of punk rock and punk itself. It's quite accessible to people. And I think in this day and age, you obviously need to try and reach a larger audience. There's so much out there. So to try and successfully make something, a little bit more palatable for somebody is a good way to introduce them to a different genre, such as punk. Great track, really liked it. I'm going to do one more from Paradox and then we're going to move on. But again, as ever, I will come back to Paradox later on towards the end of the show. And as always, all their links to their social media and to platforms where you can buy their music will be included on the blog which accompanies this show at Big Bubble UK.
The Local Lockdown with Neil Stockley.
That track was It Only Hurts When I Breathe by Paradox. I really like this band. They kind of remind me of what sort of the early Foo Fighters albums would have sounded like if they were a bit more punk. You know, if you sort of took away, I guess it's, kind of like punk grunge. Is that a thing? I don't know. That may already be a thing. But I like the sound of it. They sound great. Awesome. Big thanks to Paradox for letting me play their music. And there will be more from Paradox later on in the show. Next up, we have our final band for today, Anabolic Steroids. That was Anabolic Steroids with All For One. I love that sort of production. I'm not sure if it was live or not. I can't tell, and I love the fact that I can't tell. Proper punk. For me anyway, that for me really encapsulates punk. It's a bit Buzzcocks. It's got a little bit of everything in there. There's enough to keep everybody interested. There's a bit of The Clash. There's some Dead Kennedys kind of feel. Sex Pistols, Ramones, Iggy Pop. It's kind of got a bit of everything. Buzzcocks, as I said earlier, The Damned. Yeah, I really like that. I've never heard these guys before. And they got in touch and were interested in being on today's show. And I heard that track and was like, yep, I need some more from you. What else have you got? And this is the second track. That was Anabolic Steroid with No False Flag. That's about as punk as it's possible to get, I think, pretty much. I can't follow that, so I'm going to just move on. Just going to move on now. Okay, so you've heard the three bands that we're featuring today, and you're going to hear more from them coming up. The next segment of the show is my self-indulgent selection, if I can say it, which I just about managed. Right, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I could just play some Sex Pistols, I guess, or some Buzzcock or some Ramones, and I might play one of them in a bit. But first, I'm going to play a band that when I was sort of 16, 17 and starting to move into, you know, when you start developing your own music taste that isn't just your parents'. For me at the time, this band in the sort of early 2000s were what represented punk. Now looking back on it, yeah, it's punk rock, you can kind of give it to them. But anyway, this for me in the early 2000s was what punk had morphed into.
The Local Lockdown with Neil Stockley.
Bubbling over with.
Big Bubble Radio.
Don't forget, you can email us, studio@bigbubble.uk.
Okay, so that was Josie by Blink-182. I know a lot of you true punks out there will be shouting at the radio that that's not punk, and that, you know, punk really was around from 75 to maybe 80, and then it was no more. And yeah, that might be true, but certainly the influence lasted and is still here now, as you can hear from Blink-182. There's certainly, you've got that punk drum beat that we first heard earlier in the show. Yeah, you've got the driving bass lines, pick lead. You know, it's got the elements of punk that we recognise from that early era of punk. So yeah, it's cool to see that, although it's not possibly got the aggression of early punk, because it's a different social climate. When these, you know, obviously Blink-182, early 2000s, compared to 75 to 80, it's a very different time socially, and that is reflected in the music. But it's cool to see the influence continuing to this day. Also, when you look at what we consider to be metal these days, there's certainly a punk element to that in the aggression. I mean, that drum beat that I've mentioned as being a punk drum beat is definitely something that, if you look at it and think double that up, what you then have is a blast beat, which is, you know, thrash metal at its best. So yeah, the influence has definitely survived through the decades.
Bubbling over with.
Big Bubble Radio.
Don't forget, you can email us, studio@bigbubble.uk. Don't forget.
Okay, normally my self-indulgent selection can be 2, 3, 4 songs, but this week, having heard these three bands, I just want to get as much of their music out there as I can, and luckily they had plenty of material to send me. So, right, what we're going to do is, we're going to go back to Perjury, who were the first band. We're going to do 2 from them, 2 from Paradox, and we're going to finish with Anabolic Steroids.
Every hour just like the last, find things to do to make time pass, can't get this numbing feeling out of my brain. I'm caged in here just like a rat, my self-respect won't come back, fear and panic courses through my veins. My body sweats, my sinews ache, I don't know how much more I can take, I'm waiting for the lockdown once again. Every day just like the last, memories stay from the past, come running back to hold me once again. Certain allegations of what you claim are true, don't dilute the anger, intensify the truth. Fear and desperation keeps my mind awake, don't know how much more I can take. Every hour just like the last, find things to do to make time pass, can't get this numbing feeling out of my brain. I'm caged in here just like a rat, my self-respect won't come back, fear and panic courses through my veins. My body sweats, my sinews ache, I don't know how much more I can take, I'm waiting for the lockdown once again. Sitting here just like a rat. My self-respect won't come back. Fear and panic courses through my veins. My body sweats, my sinews ache. I don't know how much more I can take. I'm waiting for the lockdown once again. Every day just like the last. Memories stay from the past, come flooding back to haunt me once again. Certain allegations of what you claim are true. Don't dilute the anger, intensify the truth. Fear and desperation keeps my mind awake. Don't know how much more I can take. One more time I stand in line. Don't worry mate, I'm doing fine. I don't need to tell you what it's like inside. One more time I stand in line. Don't worry mate, I'm doing fine. I don't need to tell you what it's like inside. There's nowhere left to hide. You hide your hands, but I know what you're holding. It's a system and you obey by the rules. Face to face, there's no resolving. Alone with your thoughts, you can be so cruel. A strip of words, no clear emotion. Letters and symbols in a predefined form. Punctuation and a lack of expression. The message isn't clear, but the idea form. A strip of words, no clear emotion. Letters and symbols in a predefined form. Punctuation and a lack of expression. The message isn't clear, but the idea's boom. What's the meaning of those capital letters? Are you shouting, are you screaming, are you talking out loud? I don't know the meaning, it's not getting any better. I can't see your face, it's just one in a crowd. A strip of words, no clear emotion. Letters and symbols in a predefined form. Punctuation and a lack of expression. The message isn't clear, but the idea's bold. A strip of words, no clear emotion. Letters and symbols in a predefined form. Punctuation and a lack of expression. The message isn't clear, but the idea's bold. Words, no clear emotion. Letters and symbols in a predefined form. Punctuation and a lack of expression. The message isn't clear, but the idea's bold. A strip of words, no clear emotion. Letters and symbols in a predefined form. Punctuation and a lack of expression. The message isn't clear, but the idea's bold.
That was Perjury with Lockdown and then Strip for Words. Next up, Paradox.
Take a bullet for your country. Want to save a life? Are you the sun hero? Did you leave behind a wife?
There's something creeping, there's something hiding underneath the bed. She said, don't worry, no, don't you worry, it's just all in your head. There's something coming, there's something coming, won't you stay with me? You're only dreaming, you're only dreaming, you just need to get some sleep. Leave the light on for me, I'm afraid of the dark. Oh yeah. I just wanted to sleep, I just needed a spark to light the way. There's something creeping, there's something hiding in the shadows. I hear it moving, I feel it breathing, and I think that it's close. You said don't worry, no, don't you worry, but I don't understand. Inside I'm screaming, my heart is beating, and I think that I'm dead. Think that I'm dead. Leave a light on for me, I'm afraid of the dark. Oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted to sleep, I just needed a spark to light the way, yeah. I am coming for you, I am coming for you. Yes, it's all in your head, is this all in your head? Leave a light on for me, I'm afraid of the dark. Oh yeah, yeah. I I just wanted to sleep. I just needed a spark to light the way. Yeah, leave the light on for me. I'm afraid of the dark. I just wanted to sleep. I just needed a
That was Paradox with Unsung Hero, followed by Leave the Light On. Next up, we have the final track from Anabolic Steroids. That was Anabolic Steroids with Abnormal. Great track. Thank you to all three bands today: Perjury, Paradox, and Anabolic Steroids. If you want to know anything about these bands, do please go to my blog at Big Bubble UK. If you just find me, Neil Stockley, and it will link you to the local Lockdown blog, where I will add all their social media links for each band, also where you can buy their music, where you can support them. And obviously, given the fact that none of these bands have been able to gig for 3-4 months now, if you did like what you hear, do please go and buy an album. It's what keeps the bands going. It's what pays for the studio time, pays for the websites. It is a passion, but with any passion, it does cost money to keep these things going. And bands like this really are keeping punk alive because they are punk. You know, the thing is with punk, it was never mainstream. It was never meant to be mainstream. And it's as popular now as it ever was. if you're in the scene. You know, I mean, as I said earlier, I'm not particularly punk. You know, I'm not going to pretend I am. But having put an ad out for bands, these three bands contacted me almost immediately, and the quality of the punk they produced is amazing. You know, and it really does show that punk is alive and well, especially in Kent. So thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please do visit Big Bubble UK for all the other shows and all the links to the bands that I've featured today. I'm Neil Stockley. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you again, same time next week, 7 p.m. Saturday. This is also repeated at 7 p.m. on Monday. And you can also get the show on YouTube. Thank you very much for listening. Good night.
Bubbling over with.
Big Bubble Radio.
The Local Lockdown with Neil Stockley.